Hello and welcome to the TC Exchange podcast. I'm Amity Kraus, ex-retail girl turned realtor turned business owner, where I teach new transaction coordinators how to navigate the complex real estate industry and coach experienced TCs how to level up their game and businesses to add even more value to their agents. Come along with me while I guide you through this intense, complicated, but always fun world of transaction coordination. Hello, everyone, and welcome back today to the TC Exchange podcast. My name is Amity Kraus, and we are here today continuing on with our Rookie to Pro series. Today, I am meeting with a good friend of mine, Allison Marty from Pristine TC. I am so excited that Allison is here with us today. I met Allison last year, and she is a fantastic transaction coordinator, business owner, and I know that we're all going to get some great tips and value out of listening to what Allison has to say today. So, Allison, welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, Amity. I'm really happy to be here, happy to share. I'm an open book. So, yeah, just happy to share my journey and see how it can help others as well through theirs.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you got started in real estate transaction coordination.
Awesome. Yeah. So, my journey with real estate started with no experience whatsoever. I was fresh out of college graduate in marketing and international business in Colombia. And I had recently got married, so I moved with my husband to South Korea. And so I was just working remote jobs, customer service based most of the time. And through Upwork, I found an ad of some VA kind of type of work for a real estate team. And so I applied to it, and then I was transitioning and moving to the States, and so they officially hired me initially just to kind of be like the director of first impressions mostly. So that was like the title. The team was with Keller Williams, so my journey started fully on with Keller Williams. And I, hands down, that was like my foundation to everything, and that was where I got started with everything. I got to give my credit to the team leader there, Maggie Mao. She was amazing with everything, and just like teaching me everything regarding the business and the real estate. And so that's pretty much how I started with real estate back in 2015.
Wow. I did not know about that part of your journey, about coming from your the South Korea and coming in as a VA and all of that. That's really fascinating. Very
Yeah,
cool. Very
they
cool.
they had a TC, and so they were just there to like really bring me on, like again VA kind of thing. But their TC was also a VA, so we just started learning a lot. And even if I can expand on that, it was just really interesting how with being with Keller Williams, you learn a lot about systems, you learn about processes, you learn a lot about that structure, right? And so she was really big on all of that stuff. And so I started to find myself like, oh, okay, well, I didn't know I was good in systems. I didn't know this is my forte. And so we started dabbling through that and started to create the systems part. And so then I wasn't only the director for our operations or director first impressions, excuse me, but I was then the, implementing systems. And then I started taking on the role and learning about transaction coordinating, and then knowing that it was two different things, and then learning the listing manager side of things, and learned about ISA stuff. And I just learned about so many different hats. And so it's like, wow, there's like so much going on here that it was really cool to discover for sure.
Yeah. So tell us about when you were so you operated as a transaction coordinator in a brokerage at one time.
Yeah, so
And
it was. specifically with that team, I was just the TC for that team. I grew into that role. They parted ways with their TC, and so she offered me the position. And then I started learning even more further into the transaction, handling the transactions for the team itself. It was her
Gotcha.
and two other agents at the time.
Gotcha. And then at some point you started your own business, which I definitely want to get into because
Yes.
I know there's a special set of challenges that come with being a business owner in that transition. But before we go there, because you started out in your journey as a transaction coordinator with a brokerage, you had that team support. Tell me, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced as a TC operating as a TC?
Um, in the team itself,
Mhm.
yeah, you just, I think it's easy when you're in a team. It's easy to get lose focus of your role, and
Yeah.
for the other members of the team to really lose focus of what your role is. And so at the time, I was pretty much the only one that was able to handle a lot of different pieces of the business. And so they were coming to me for scheduling showings and scheduling this and creating offers and writing that. And it was like so outside of the TC only kind of stuff. And then on top of that, I was making sure the systems were flowing correctly, and we were changing CRMs, and we were doing this and new websites and just implementing a whole bunch of different things. And so it was really hard to just really focus on the role. But again, on the upside of that, I was just learning a lot more in terms of other different areas.
Yeah. So you were working as a transaction coordinator, learning all of these other things and these layers to doing the job. At what point did you say, "Wow, I really love this and I now want to have my own independent business?" What did that look like for you?
So it kind of really started when I just decided that I needed to part ways with the team. The team was going in a different direction, more in the technology side of things, and they were making a move somewhere in another state and everything. And living in Colorado at the time was a little bit more expensive for us too. So we decided to make the move to where we are now in Florida. And so I think that was just like the big push. And one of the team members there, she also decided to part ways from the team, and she told me, "Hey, Allison, I'll definitely be using you for TC work and stuff like that. You should really just focus on doing that." And she really did push me. And I call her one of my baby clients just because she's the one she started with me. And so she's been there since 2017, since we started.
Wow, that's great. When you started your business as a transaction coordinator company, what was the first thing that made you feel like you had your first big success?
Wow. I think signing, your first client is always like the big success of, wow, I can actually do this. And then when one client comes in, then another client comes in, and God opens many doors. And or at least for me, God is my the person who guides me, or not the person, but the being that guides me in my life. And so he just put everything in play. And so for me, it was that the first client that really gives you like that boost of confidence. Okay, I can do this. And so I started marketing myself locally. I was still in Colorado, so I was able to market myself, and I got a couple of other handful of clients. And so I think that was one of the just being able to like, okay, I got this. I can do this. We can roll with this.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So when you think about transaction coordinators now, you started out as a baby transaction coordinators and your baby clients and you're hiring TCs. Tell me about what you think are the essential skills that a new transaction coordinator needs to have.
Yeah, so I think it definitely comes with patience with themselves. You're not going to learn this game in a course, really. I hate to break it down. Whether you do the real estate course for your local state, as if you were going to be a licensed agent or not, or acquire other courses, you're just really not going to be able to really learn the ins and outs. It just comes with time and experience and making mistakes. At least for me, it was making the mistakes, because those mistakes led me to actually making sure I would never make them again and
Yeah.
actually learning. So I think being graceful with ourselves and not being so hard on ourselves and trying to get into the business with learning either with an agent or, as a showing assistant or somehow somewhere within the industry, but you have to get some experience that way. It's just the only way getting your hands dirty.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you said that. I think that we are connected through a lot of the same communities out there and we see constantly new transaction coordinators that are trying to come into the business and have a great desire to, but they're looking for a course. And there are some courses out there. There are some really wonderful courses that are out there. There's a course that I took. There are some that are higher level and lower level. Like there's a really wide variety, but I think that's really important from any new TC to understand is that the course is going to give you only a foundation. It's not going to ever be able to tell you how to execute a job from the next day flawlessly. There is a learning curve. You are going to make mistakes. I've been doing this myself since 2019. I still make mistakes. It happens. It's just part of what goes on. And I can go on a huge tangent about it, but I think that it's really important to know that. One of the things that comes up over and over again when we talk about an essential skill that a new TC needs, and I love it, and it's resourcefulness,
Yes. Oh, yes.
scrappiness, getting to it, going for the information, getting all of that. That's going to get you to the next level.
Just asking yourself, okay, where can I get this information if it's not being given to me? Instead of waiting for somebody to give it to me or waiting for my agent to respond, because of course they're busy too, hence why they need us. Where can I get this? Can I pick up the phone and make a call to the other side and then just start introducing myself? Hey, I don't have all the information, but I'm just needing really this piece. Can I call the title company? Can I call whoever? What can I do to get this information? And so if your last resource is going to the agent, okay, fine, but just being resourceful. And I think that's really, really big on us. Like just learning when we get a new client and they're from a brokerage you're not really familiar with, you definitely don't dismiss it. You say, hey, yeah, I've never been, I'm not familiar with that, but I'll work my way through it. And you just get in there and you're like, okay, I'm playing around with it. How do I open? How do I do this? And you just figure it out. You just really figure it out. And I think that's being resourceful for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you mentioned support, and reaching out to other parties in the transaction, but it also speaks to me, or it makes me want to ask the question about how you feel about mentorship. If you've had a mentor in your career, and if you have any advice for anyone who's looking for a mentor or a coach, or what your thoughts are about that.
Yeah, so I actually just recently started working with a coach, actually late last year. Definitely recommend it. I mean, it was a point in my business where I needed it mentally. I needed the encouragement. I think it's also more in terms of like they're your cheerleaders as well. They hold you accountable, but they're also your cheerleaders. So it's really nice to have that. And I think we need that just because I'm pouring into my team and I'm cheering them on, but nobody's really cheering me on. Nonetheless, I still have my family, my husband and my daughter, but they're not really in the day to day kind of thing. So they're not really understanding. Um, and so my coach has been a game changer for me and my business this year for sure. And so we've been able to, dissect different parts of my business that I needed to work on. What is it that my ultimate goal is? How am I accomplishing it? How am I working through it? And so definitely the best investment, at least for myself this year, has been that.
Yeah, and I love that. I have a similar experience where my yeah, I have a great family and they love me and they offer me the support, but they don't really understand. It's not the same as someone who has been in your shoes, that is walking that path, that knows what you're talking about. And it has been transformative. I've had a couple of coaches in a few different ways, and they've always been a big transformation, a big part of my journey and growth. And I can't encourage that enough. So I'm glad that you found success at that.
Yes.
Great,
And it's
great.
interesting because, when you talk about our family knows that, we have a business and but they really don't really understand, like, what is it that you do? Like,
Yeah,
what is your business about? What is, and it's like, really, do you have to ask me this over and over? Like, what is it that we do? Because a lot of people don't even know what a transaction coordinator is. So
that's
it's really interesting
true.
for that.
It's true. I recently went and visited a friend of mine, and she said to me, she's like, I know that it's something in real estate, but I'm not really sure what it is. And I'm like, it's really hard to explain. We'll just go with that.
And currently, I'm actually taking another coaching. I have my business coach, which is directly for TCs, but actually also doing a sales coaching as well, and so that's been also a game changer. Just because sales has never been my forte, hence
Yeah,
why I never went into real estate. And so I really enjoyed that part as well, learning through that sales
yeah,
coaching as well.
yeah. You bring up a really good point. I was talking earlier to some colleagues of mine about how sometimes when we're in the real estate field, we feel like all of the answers to our questions and our resources are should be within the real estate field. Like we're going and we're looking at business books related to real estate. We're looking for transaction coordinator resources. We're looking for those kinds of things, but one thing that I have come to learn, and it sounds like you're learning this too, is
Mhm.
that business is business. And if you are an entrepreneur, there is so many resources that can apply to our business, and we don't have to be locked in. And once I realized that, it really opened up and changed my eyes on how I was marketing business, how I was hiring for business, how I was talking about my business, all because I was able to approach it in a different way. We're not just locked into real estate.
That
It's
is
great.
correct. And it's just seeing or viewing ourselves as business owners versus just TCs. I
Mhm.
mean, if you are just a TC, that's fine. And if that's the point in life where you're at, great. But if you are aiming to be a business owner, you have to start viewing yourself as a business owner.
Yes. And I'm also glad that you said that. That's another piece that we talk about a lot. And we see transaction coordinators that are joining the field who are fantastic transaction coordinators, but they don't know how to operate a business and they're very new in their journey. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a place for that. It's a journey we all have been on. But we really putting on your business owner hat when you're making decisions about your business is really important to do.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we talked a little bit about the being a beginner TC, and you look back and you reflect back on your time as a newer TC, and you look at your TCs that are on your team who are starting out. What's a skill that you wish that you had then, that you have grown into?
Wow. Well, definitely grew into like the whole systems thing. I didn't have that perspective, like building your own system. It was just like, oh, I do this and I just do it constantly. So it's just like, it automatically just happens in life, or that happens to a lot of things in our lives.
Mhm.
So now I view life as a more systematic way. What are the things that I'm constantly doing over and over that I can automate some way, somehow, so I don't have to worry about it, or it doesn't occupy much of my time? And so I'm doing more in less time.
Yeah.
And so that is definitely one of the biggest things for me. And now I just put that into play with my team, with my business. That just my whole business is around that, revolves around
Yeah.
that. And so I'm
Yeah.
constantly looking for those ways. And so I think that that skill is what I kind of grew into. Of course, I wish I had that, or I wish I knew about it before, but definitely grew into it, that with being in this journey.
Yeah. So you mentioned, you having a system for everything. And I think how we execute systems are our tools, the tools that we use. Tell me about the tools that you use for managing your tasks, staying organized. What have been the ones that have made the most significant difference for you?
Yeah, so starting off, definitely start off. I think like most of us start off with spreadsheets. I was never really a paper girl. Paper girl has been on my notes. I just have notes on, my notebook to take notes on for calls and stuff like that. But paper is just not really relevant to me.
Mhm.
Um, like spreadsheets, started with spreadsheets, and then after like having 10 of those, I'm like, I can't be scrolling through 10 spreadsheets. This is too time consuming. I couldn't. Then I looked into paperless pipeline at that time in 2017, but it didn't have like the email capacity. I don't know if it does at this point. To me, it was just really important to have like those, at least the minimum welcome emails where the information would be plugged in once, and then my welcome email would all have it all plugged in. And so I then came across Revolve, and at that point, it looks like the best tool for myself, and I built it out completely, which I loved, and I still like that platform, but it couldn't grow with me, especially when now I'm here expanding to 4 other different states, and so I can't really grow with that system. And so OTC is definitely the tool that I'm working with right now, and that's one of the best ones that I for myself that I think it's just usable.
Yeah, absolutely. Open to close is a game changer for
Yeah,
sure. And really, with the exception of maybe something entirely built out by your on your own with your own automations and AI built into it, open to close for me as well has been
a game
the
changer.
one.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about building relationships. You are currently working in Colorado, but you are living in Florida, and you just mentioned that you're going to be in 4 additional states. So obviously you're working remotely and your team is remote as well. So talk to me a little bit about how you maintain your relationships, not only with your agents, but how do you make sure your team is connected?
Yeah, so that's definitely, I think, a hardest point, especially that connection with our clients, just to kind of remind them that, hey, we're humans, we're not robots, we're not here working around the clock, like we have lives aside from our computers, So I make sure that we kind of have like some type of event with our client, at least an annual basis. Recently I had my daughter a little while ago, so, or not a little while ago, it's been 2 years now, but I wasn't able to travel as much. And so before I had her, I went to personally go and deliver our Christmas gifts to them and stuff like that. And so to kind of connect with them, and took them out to lunch or dinner and things like that. And so I was able to meet quite a few of them, personally meet for the first time, or just kind of catch up with my frequent flyers, what I call. And so that's really nice. And so this year I am planning to have a client event in Colorado. I'm hoping to have part of my team as well join me, so that way they can see that the growth, and they can understand that it's not only Allison behind the scenes, but also my team is involved. And I really try to make a habit of letting them, remind them, hey, it's my team and I, like it's not only Allison. So that way I can start, you know, stepping away from that role of a TC and start really just letting my team handle everything.
Yeah.
And so with my team, also this year we're planning our first company retreat, and so I'm gathering them all in one place, in an all-inclusive resort. And so I'm really excited about that trip with them, and we're going to have our celebration, just because we met our goals last year, and we're definitely on track to meeting our goals this year. I wanted us to all come together and meet and just spend some time and just get to know each other a little bit more on a more personal level, rather than Google chat and texting and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. They are lucky to have you. That's
They
wonderful.
are they're my everything. If I wouldn't be here without them, so I owe them at least that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, tell me about what you do for professional development. Are there any courses or resources that you recommend?
Yeah, so personal development. I read, I have my devotional time. I think that that connection with, further, beyond whatever beliefs you have. I think it's definitely important. You have to pour into yourself. Last year, I went to the retreat that Mandy did, the empowerment retreat.
Mhm.
And so her coach was telling us that if you don't pour into your cup, it's very difficult for you to pour into others. And so that really resonated with me, especially at the time. And so I was like, I needed to get into the mode of pouring into myself so I can be able to pour into my daughter, my family, and my team as well, and my clients. And so that definitely my devotional time is for sure that. And then I think that this NEPQ sales course that I'm doing, I think has been working a lot more. You know, we're working with neuro emotional psychology, and so it doesn't only apply for sales. It also applies to like really listen and talk to people and really capture and go into a deeper level with conversations with people. So I think that has been super helpful, not only for myself, but also just to apply in a day to day with my personal relationships, but and also with my clients and also prospects. The idea is
Yeah.
to use it with prospects as well.
Yeah, that's very interesting because I think one of the topics that come up a lot is about how to effectively communicate. And we've all heard, like the basic active listening and some of the other tips that are out there. So to research a course like that that is neuroscience based that's pretty cool. All right, so let's talk a little bit about work-life harmony. I used to say work-life balance, and that always felt misaligned to me because I really feel like when you say balance, that means if you're focusing on work, you have to sacrifice something personal and because you can't really ever be balanced. So harmony though is a real thing. So tell me about what you how you manage work-life harmony between an active toddler, a family, a thriving business. How do you mention devotionals? What are some of the other things that you do to make sure that you're filling your cup and achieving harmony in your life?
Yeah, that's definitely very important. I think it's very, very important, especially for new TCs that are starting and stuff. Setting the right expectations with your clients from the get go is definitely super important. I had to work really hard to realign my expectations with them, especially when at the beginning I was working nonstop, weekends and around the clock. It was 9 o'clock and I was still working, and it was okay to text and call me at that time. But now that I have a toddler, that's out of the question. And so setting those expectations from the beginning is definitely super important for that. But personally, I initially I wouldn't turn off my notifications of my email on my phone just because I just wanted to be on top of everything. I wanted to make sure that that email came in, I was viewing it, I was responding it right away, and it was just like step away, like just it's okay that you're not responding right away. If you set the right expectations, it's okay. And of course, as a business owner, it's really hard to turn off your brain about like thinking about your business, what needs to be done, or what do you want to do to better, XYZ aspect of your business. And so a lot of conversations with my husband tends to reel into the business side of things. And he's like, do you not ever stop thinking about business? And it's like, it's really hard for me. So harmony is the perfect word for you to use because it's you can't have a balance. The balance is they're always going to be intertwined. At least for a business owner, always going to be intertwined. So things that I definitely do aside from setting up those expectations is just really when I'm playing with my daughter, is I'm playing with my daughter and be more intentional with that time. If I'm working in while she's napping in an hour and a half that I may be able to get, then I'm intentionally working that hour and a half and being intentional in all of my actions and doing. And so that's how I keep that harmony going. Just keep being more intentional with everything that I'm doing in order to accomplish the things that I need and keep that, I guess, balance, but harmony I like better.
Yeah. Harmony is the word. Oh, okay. So, where do you see the role of a transaction coordinator evolving in the future? Where there's big industry changes that are coming with this proposed NAR settlement. There's a lot of questions on how that's going to impact transaction coordinators. Do you have any thoughts about, in general, how TCs are going to evolve, or if there's anything specific related to this proposed settlement that you think?
Honestly, the way I think about it, I do not worry about it. I cannot control it, so I don't worry about it. So it doesn't become my problem. I have a mug that says, "If it's not my, if it's not my problem." Oh, it sounds like a lot like not my problem, really, and it's really something completely out of our control. Um, Whatever the results of that settlement, those changes are to become in July. Whatever, we still have months to go between now and July. It's not even finalized. Whatever those changes are going to be, we will tackle them as they come. We monitor the situation. We get informed. Yes, I'm not saying we're not living under a rock, but I don't worry about them. We just need to be quick to pivot and just change or switch whatever we need to switch. But that's about it. I definitely don't want to worry about it because there's no point in worrying things that we cannot control.
Yeah, I agree with you. The sky is not falling.
Exactly. If the house is not on fire, I am not needed.
Yeah. So what would be the biggest piece of advice that you would give someone who's just getting started as a transaction coordinator?
Yeah, so I think if you definitely want to do this and you believe that this is exactly what you want to do, or even if you're just testing the waters, give it a try, give it a go, get the experience, test. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to have setbacks. Have grace with yourself, be positive, always, kill with kindness, and just put your best foot forward, and things will align. And as long as you have the best energy, everything will align in your favor, and things will come out in the right way, that's supposed to be. So just do the right thing and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's great advice. Great advice. All right, Allison. Well, tell me what is next for your business. You mentioned you're going into four new states, or you'll be in 4 states. What are the 4 states that you're operating in?
Yeah, so Colorado, Florida, Arizona, and California.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. Those are all challenging states in their own way.
Yeah.
So kudos for you for that growth. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. All right. One last question, and I'm going to let you go, is tell me where we can find you.
Absolutely. So Facebook, Instagram at Pristine TC, or our website, pristinetc.com. Very easy.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, Allison, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I loved catching up with you and hearing everything that's going on in your business. I know that you are going to crush it, and I can't wait to check in with you at this year's conference and get to meet you in person finally, and hear all about the progress that you made. Thank you so much for coming on today.
See you later. Thank you so much.
All right. And that wraps up another episode of the TC Exchange podcast. Thank you so much for joining me and being a part of this incredible journey through the world of transaction coordination. Remember, every challenge is an opportunity to learn, and together, we're setting the compass to true north. If you want to dive deeper into the world of TCs or simply connect with our growing community, follow us on Instagram at TrueNorthTCT. For exclusive content, insights, and engaging discussions, be sure to join our Facebook group, the TC Exchange. And for resources, courses, and a treasure trove of knowledge, check out our website at truenorthtransactionservices.com. Keep the conversations going, share your insights, and until next time, keep your compass pointing true north. See you soon.